There is a type of person you meet at work meetings, family dinners, or even in heated discussions between friends, those who always agree. No matter the subject, no matter the intensity of the debate, they nod their heads, smile and say yes, it's true, you're right. At first glance, it may seem like you are facing the easiest person in the world. But is this constant agreement really a sign of harmony, or a mask for something much more complex? Before judging, it is important to understand, there is nothing wrong with seeking peace. The world is already full of conflicts, and those who prefer to avoid confrontation are often just trying to preserve relationships or simply don't have the energy for discussions. Some people are naturally peacemakers, with a rare ability to see both sides of a coin and prefer to invest their time in solutions rather than debates. But when agreement becomes an absolute standard, when yes becomes automatic like a reflex, it's time to ask yourself, what's behind that easy yes? Perhaps, at some point in their lives, these people learned that disagreeing is dangerous. It may have been in childhood, when expressing a different opinion resulted in punishment, shouting, or even the icy silence of a disappointed parent. Or maybe on your first job, when a contrary suggestion was met with irony, causing your brain to register, better keep quiet. Over time, the fear of rejection or conflict takes root, and yes becomes armor. It's not that they don't have opinions, it's that the cost of expressing them seems too high. Another possibility is that this behavior is a social survival strategy. In groups where the hierarchy is rigid or where criticism is frowned upon, agreeing can be the quickest way to belong. It's like a chameleon that changes color to avoid attracting attention. If everyone is saying yes, saying no is risking being the target. In this case, agreement is not about what one thinks, but about what one needs to feel in order not to be excluded. And, in a world where connection is currency, who would dare risk losing that? But there are also those who agree because, deep down, they don't allow themselves to have a voice. It could be due to insecurity, what do I know to disagree with? Or because of a self-demand so high that any opinion of one's own seems too imperfect to be shared. These people often feel like frauds, as if their ideas don't have enough value to take up space. So they hide behind the consensus, as if to say, if everyone thinks this way, it must be right. I don't need to expose myself. The curious thing is that, behind this apparent passivity, there may be a sharp emotional intelligence. Those who always agree often have an incredible ability to read the environment. They notice nuances that others ignore, the tone of voice that indicates impatience, the look that asks for approval, the tension in the air that precedes a fight. They are like silent translators of other people's emotions, and their yes can actually be a gesture of compassion, a way of saying, I see you need this right now. However, when compliance becomes a chronic pattern, it can hide a hidden price. Those who never disagree end up losing themselves little by little. Opinions become diluted, desires take a backseat, and life becomes a stage where the same character is always played. What pleases, what doesn't bother, what goes unnoticed. And, in the end, the question remains, if you never say no, how do you know what you really want? If you recognize yourself in this pattern, know that you are not weak or submissive. Maybe you've just learned over time that the world feels safer when you don't make waves. But here's the truth that few tell you, the people we admire most are not those who always agree, but those who have the courage to be themselves. Even when it means saying no. And if today you find yourself about to nod automatically, take a break. Breathe. Ask yourself, is this what I really think, or just what I think you should hear? Sometimes the greatest act of courage is not facing others, but facing the fear of being yourself. If this text made you reflect, comment here. Do you also have difficulty disagreeing? In what situations does this happen? Share with those who need to hear that your voice matters. And if you want more reflections like this, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next insights. Until next time, and remember, the world needs your yes, and your no too. The weight of the yes we never said and the numbers we swallow. Have you ever stopped to calculate how many times in a single week you say yes out of inertia? Yes, I can help. Yes, I am well. Yes, tomorrow will do. These are responses that come out automatically, like a conditioned reflex, as natural as blinking when someone shines light in your eyes. But what if, with every automatic yes, you were signing an invisible contract? A contract that, little by little, steals your time, your energy and, worst of all, your voice. Think about it. Every yes you give without conviction is a no you deny yourself. A no for your rest, for your projects, for your peace. And the most ironic, the people who suffer most from this are not those who say no too much, but those who never allow themselves to say it. Because deep down, they know, every weak yes is a small betrayal against the person they should protect above all else, themselves. The emotional mathematics of forced sims. Do the math. 1 yes per obligation equals -5 emotional energy. 3 yes per day equals -15 patience, creativity, or willingness. 1 month like this equals a deficit of 450 points in your welfare account. And what do you get in return? Temporary approval. A how kind you are that lasts less than an Instagram story. Meanwhile, your list of I should have said no only grows, and with it, the feeling that your life is being lived on autopilot mode while you watch, stationary, from the backseat. But here's the thing no one tells you, people don't remember your yes. They remember how they felt in your presence. And guess what? A sincere no generates more respect than 100 empty yes. Because when you say no, you're actually saying, I care enough about myself to be honest with you. The fear that hides behind the automatic yes. Why is it so hard to say no? It's not just politeness or fear of hurting. It's something deeper, the terror of being judged. And this fear has 3 common disguises. 1. If I say no, they'll think I'm selfish. Translation: you think taking care of yourself is a crime. Reality: healthy people admire limits, they do not confuse them with rudeness. 2. If I refuse, I will miss opportunities. Translation: you believe your worth depends on saying yes to everything. Reality: the best opportunities come when you have the energy to take advantage of them, not when you're exhausted from scheduling things you don't want. 3. If I don't help, I'm a bad person. Translation: you confuse kindness with self-sacrifice. Reality: true kindness includes kindness to yourself. A no can be the most compassionate act you do today because it prevents you from being grumbling, tired, and filled with resentment tomorrow. No as an act of creative rebellion. Stop and think, who do you admire most? The person who always says yes and is exhausted, or the person who chooses carefully where they invest their time? The one who drowns in commitments or the one who says no so she can say yes to what really matters? Saying no is not closing doors. It's making space. It's like cleaning out the closet of your life. You throw away what no longer serves you to fit in what really suits you well. And the most surprising thing? When you start saying no, people start to value your yes more. Because they know that when you say yes, it's because you really want to. A radical, but necessary, exercise. For the next 7 days, try saying no once a day, even if it's to something small. Could it be, no thanks, I won't be able to have lunch today. No, I can't take on this project now. No, I don't want to talk about it. Watch what happens. The world doesn't collapse. People don't abandon you. And, at the end of the day, you will feel lighter, as if you have given yourself back a piece of freedom. The question that will change your yes. Next time you're about to say yes out of habit, ask this question. If I say no, what's the worst that happens? And what's the best? Most of the time, you will notice that the worst is a temporary discomfort, which others forget in 5 minutes. The best thing is to take back your time, your peace and your authenticity, things that no one else can give back to you. The world needs your no. Do you know why so many people are exhausted, dissatisfied, and with the feeling that life is passing them by? Because they never learned to say no. And so, they end up living other people's lives, other people's dreams, other people's schedules, other people's expectations. But here's the bombshell truth. The world doesn't need another automatic yes. He needs people who know where they end and where they begin. Because it is within limits that creativity, innovation, and the courage to be who you really are born. Your turn. Which no have you been swallowing? Comment here. When was the last time you said yes and regretted it? What would you stop doing if you learned to say no without guilt? Challenge. Commit to saying no once this week and come back here to tell us how you felt. Share this text with someone who needs to hear that their voice matters more than other people's approval. And if you want more reflections like this, turn on notifications, because we're going to talk a lot about how to regain control of your life, one no at a time. Until next time. And remember, every no you say today is a yes for the future you deserve. Rock it.